Have you ever felt like your focus and memory just aren't cutting it? Like you should be able to get more done or retain more information, but it's just not happening. I've been there too, but over the past couple of years, I found 4 simple hacks that have helped me improve my focus and my memory quicker than any other tactics out there. And they're no bullshit solutions. Some of these hacks help me secure a $10,000 retail deal for the brand that I'm building, nail interviews to secure my dream job, and then even get a promotion within 12 months within that job. And maybe most importantly, they've helped me to retain more information when reading books and other pieces of information. Let's dive in, and I promise you'll be able to walk away with practical tips straight after this video. The first hack is something I picked up from Dr. Andrew Huberman, and it's called Interoceptive meditation. This isn't your typical meditation. It's about closing your eyes and focusing on how your internal state feels for only 15 to 17 minutes. It's thought that if you close your eyes and focus on that internal state, when you do go to focus after, your brain's able to focus a lot harder on the things that you try to focus without getting distracted by urges or other kind of things around you. These urges and distractions are called visual blinks in the scientific literature. And when you do that meditation, you lower your visual blinks straight after that and you're able to focus a lot better. I've started doing this most of the time in the morning before I do anything mentally demanding. I don't do it all the time, but every time I do it, I find that it really does help me focus for the next couple of hours after I've done it. For example, when I was working on the pitch deck for that $10,000 retail deal, I did interoceptive meditation a lot so that after I did that, I was able to lock in and really get in that flow state and produce better work essentially. The science is pretty clear. This interoceptive meditation primes your brain to focus really hard and easier for the hours afterwards. I really encourage you to try it before your next big task, especially in the morning if you're a morning person. It's a real game changer. Next up, to improve your focus is focusing on a specific target. Again, Dr. Andrew Huberman talks about this. It's really simple, but it's about deliberately paying attention to something very close with your eyes. Studies show that this visual focus actually then translates into the chemicals that are active when you're in a focused and flow state, because your brain's kind of following that visual focus and starts to produce those chemicals that actually occur when you're in a focused and flow state. It releases things like dopamine, serotonin, similar to the neurotransmitters that are released when you take things like Ritalin or Adderall. But obviously this is a natural and more sustainable way to get into a focused state. I personally use this a lot, but one example is when I was in a job interview and I had to really focus and solve this complex problem. I wasn't in a super focused and flow kind of state, so I did focus on a certain kind of paragraph for a while, and I was able to get into that focused state a lot easier. It takes about 5 to 10 minutes, and it really does help you kind of calm down, have more clarity, and focus a lot better. And ultimately for me, it allowed me to pass that job interview and get my dream job. The key is patience. It doesn't happen instantly, but the payoff is definitely worth the effort. The next 2 hacks are more about learning and retaining information. Number 3 is active recall or retrieval. And this technique really transformed how I learn. I never got taught this in school for some reason. Maybe I did and I didn't listen. It really helped me learn a lot more efficiently and quicker. I found that a lot of the learning I was doing was kind of false learning. There's this book called Make It Stick, and essentially you have your working memory and your long-term memory. When you're reading stuff and then you like look at it straight away after or whatever, you think you know it. But if you test yourself with an actual test and throughout kind of spaced repetition, which is another hack we'll go through, you realize you don't actually know the information that you've just read. So this active recall or retrieval really helps solidify and move the information from your working memory to your long-term memory. So like I said, I picked this up from a book called Make It Stick, and it's a book that's quite old, but it's packed with research on how memory works. And the idea of active recall or retrieval is simple. Instead of passively reviewing information, you need to test yourself on it. And personally, I use active recall or retrieval as much as I can. It does take a lot of effort, but when I have something really important, like a pitch deck for that $10,000 retail deal, I use active recall and retrieval to really memorize and test myself on that deck. So when I went into meetings, I really knew all the points off by heart and it was in kind of my long-term memory, and I didn't have to kind of look at the deck all the time. It's also helped me remember why we're doing certain formulas and what those formulas are for the brand I'm building in the health and wellness space, and even simple but helpful things like formulas in Google Sheets. Active recall or retrieval is really the only thing that I've felt that has moved things from my kind of working memory to my long-term memory and really know the information that I'm trying to learn. And the last hack is spaced repetition. This works hand in hand with active recall, and it's really simple. Instead of testing yourself immediately after you read something, you can do that at the start, but instead of doing that all the time, you literally just space out the time between when you digest that information or when you read that information and then when you test yourself on it again. And what you want to do is repeat this over time and maybe even space out your intervals longer and longer. And again, this has been a lifesaver for me in terms of actually retaining information. I've used it within that pitch deck, in sales calls, in getting to know data analytics kind of stuff. So it's been a real game changer. Spacing out forces your brain to work harder to retrieve that information, ultimately making it stick to your long-term memory. Think of it as giving your brain a pretty good workout. These 4 hacks have honestly been game changers for me. Interoceptive meditation helped me stay calm and focused while writing that $10,000 pitch deck that I secured. The visual focus exercises helped me stay calm and focused within that job interview that I ultimately secured. And active recall and spaced repetition have helped me really understand and learn everything from pitch decks to sales calls all the way to supplement formulas, and ultimately make me more effective at work and life. Here's how you can start using these hacks today. Number 1 is try interoceptive meditation. Just 15 minutes of quiet focus on your body. I would argue if you don't have 15 minutes to spare within your day, you're doing things inefficiently. And it's something you don't have to do every single day. I find that I try to do it as much as possible, but I definitely don't do it every single day. But when you do feel like you've kind of slipped away from doing really good focus work, set yourself back in and try interoceptive meditation. Number 2 is use the visual focus exercises to get in the zone when you're finding it hard to really get into that flow state. Pick something specific to focus visually on and give it a few minutes. This is again something that I don't do every single day, but when I really need to get into that zone, say for something like this, recording a video, I do these practices before so I can do as best as I can at the task. Number 3 is practice active recall or retrieval by literally just testing yourself on the things that you're trying to learn. Instead of just kind of reading it and then reviewing it again, what I recommend and what I do is go into Notion and do like a little toggle thing. It allows you to write a question and then write the answer, but then you can toggle it back up so you can hide the answer. Once you've answered everything, you can actually check if it's the right answer. And if it's not, you might want to re-look at that information and test yourself again. The best way is either that or like flashcards. There's an app called Quizlet, which you can use as well. And number 4 is combine that active recall or retrieval with spaced repetition. Try active recall as soon as you've reviewed that information, but over time you want to space out the retrieval. So, take in some information, test yourself an hour later, then maybe a day later, and so on. None of these hacks are really that complicated, and that's the beauty of them. They just require a little bit of effort, and these are simple shifts that at the base level, anyone can do. And personally, they've worked wonders for me, and I'm sure they'll work for you too. If you found this helpful, hit that like button and subscribe for more tips on how to focus and memorize better. Let me know which hack you're excited to try first, and if you've tried anything and they haven't or they have worked for you. Thanks for watching.